Alrighty, people. Welcome to How to Write Your Way Through Writer's Block. And let's go to the screen with the class so I can go one by one through your questions. So I had these amazing surveys that were all about writer's block, writer's block, writer's block, writer's block, writer's block. Okay. The first question that I'm going to cover is how to find characters, voice, and authentic dialogue. Now, what I learned, and I talk about it in my TED Talk, is that when I went to the page to write, I would put pen to paper and my hands would start shaking and I would start sweating. And I would write 2 sentences and then I would put my pen down and feel like I wanted to cry. Or I would try the next day, I would come to the page and I would write down what I thought was a story. And then when I finished reading it, I'd get to about a page and a half. What I realized is I just wrote an essay of feeling and nothing happened. And I thought this and I thought that. And then he went to the store and I thought this and I thought that. There was no dialogue. It was simply me giving exposition. There was no action, there was no plot, there was nothing. And I wrote about 50 pages of that. And I couldn't figure out how to break free of it. Because when I would write in a character's voice, there was something that happened between what was in my head and what I felt like I should write. Like my writing should be appropriate. My writing should be perfect. It should be good. It should have great grammar. It should have great structure. It should be perfect because that's how writing looks on the page. And what I was missing is that the way you speak is the way you write. So let me say that again. The way you speak is the way you write. The way that I just told you what it was like for me going to the page. I had a beginning, middle, and an end. I told you what it felt like. I would sit down and write, then I would write, and then at the end, I would discover that I hadn't written a story, I had written an essay. That's a story that I just spoke. From my authentic emotional experience of what happened, how I felt, what I tried to do, when I failed, and why. So it occurred to me, why don't I just listen to myself speak? And I started recording. I would write the morning pages to get out all my fears, 3 pages longhand without an agenda. And then I would talk into a recorder about what I was feeling. And then I moved it to the next level, which was I would talk in a recorder about the first time I felt like this. So I would talk about my feelings and then I would recall another time where I felt this kind of fear. And it had to do with confronting my parents about a certain event when I was little. And so I recorded that story. And I continued like that, just writing down in my morning pages without checking it, what was happening. And then after I looked at the morning pages, whatever I wrote there would trigger a story. And then I would tell that story into a recorder. I did this for months. I never went back and edited. I never changed anything. I then had the pages transcribed. I had a friend type them up for me. And I realized I had written themes and monologues in the recording based on what I had written in the pages. So the pages gave me the freedom to just do it crappy and write whatever came up without being right. And what the pages did was then trigger me beginning to tell a story. And I realized that I tell story by talking first. You know who else does that? Mark Twain, the second half of his life. All of his books were written from him recording, and he had a secretary there who would transcribe what he was saying. And those were his books. Pudd'nhead Wilson, all the Mark Twain stories came from recordings. So the first thing I figured out was, let me put this into a kind of technique so that I can freaking write. And in my TED Talk about rewrite your story, I talk about how I learned from the morning pages and this process of dreaming out loud, what I wanted to write and how I wanted to write it. Because the story that wants to be told lives inside of you. It's already there. You're just getting in the way of it coming out. And what the dreaming out loud technique does is it allows you to listen to the story that's already within you. Raina Maria Rilke says, listen to the story that must be told. Not the one you think should be told, the one that must be told, because it's already inside you. You wouldn't want to write if there were not a story in you. Just like you wouldn't want to act if there was not a story about life that you had to tell. You wish for something because it's what you're supposed to be doing. You're just getting in the way of getting it done. So what the morning pages in this dreaming out loud technique taught me was that all I needed to do was listen to my own intuitive wisdom. It was already there. And that's what I call the deeply connective listening. So by recording, just free form, what I'd written about in the morning pages, I then got a chance to listen to myself as a character. That's what the recording did. I was like, oh, that's a character. The way she constructed that sentence. Her take on that is unlike anybody else's. Recording myself and transcribing it allowed me to look at my speech as writing. And that's listening to your characters. The other way that I learned to listen to the characters is then to interview people. So I would tell a story about the first Christmas that I realized I was a Black girl. It's because my dad got all toys with Black pictures, Black dolls for the first time ever. And it was like magic. So I wrote about that in the morning pages. And then I recorded that story of what that Christmas was like. And then I will transcribe that, and I looked at it and I was like, I wonder how my mom and my dad experienced this story. So I asked them and I recorded what they said. So now I had the same story from 3 different people's points of views. So what do you think I have after I have my recount was 3 pages, my mom's was like 2, my dad's was like 2 pages. That's 5, that's 9 pages. What do I now have? Anybody?
A scene from a play.
Yeah, I have a scene. I have 3 people telling the same story from their perspective. I transcribed it and I created a scene. I just cut and pasted what they said. Because see, I had a story that was driven by what was important to me emotionally. And that's what I learned from the morning pages. What makes me feel deeply? What do I care about? What do I love? And that's what we'll be doing in the Writers Retreat. We'll be exploring the things that I love, the things that I fear, the things that I've learned about life, what they've taught me, and how it felt in the moment that I was learning it, and then recording it. And to begin listening to the stories that want to be told. That's all writing is listening to the stories inside of you that want to be told. They're already there. You just have to learn how to listen to them. And then put them into a structure. Okay? So if you're doing this exercise, the first thing you're going to do is the morning pages. And that's how you overcome writer's block. Okay? The morning pages are 3 pages longhand every morning without stopping. Now, I outlined a morning ritual, which I sent to you guys in the notes, and I'll resend it to you so you can take a look at it. It's about choosing a space, choosing a time, choosing music. And the minute you sit down, choosing your drink of choice. I make a homemade chai tea. I love that Pima Children, who follows Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Buddhist teacher, believes that everything that you do is a meditation. Washing dishes, if you do it intentionally, is a meditation. Writing the morning pages, if you do it intentionally, is a meditation. All writing starts from great meditation. And how do you do something intentionally? You turn it into a ritual. So that every time I wash the dishes, I use an orange scented soap. I start with the first plate. I move into this. I have a ritual that allows me to relax and focus on the smells and focus on the feeling of the water and focus on the feeling of the sponge. I learned that from Thich Nhat Hanh. Everything is a ritual. If you're paying attention and being present in the moment in which you're doing it, and you do it the same way every day. So I developed a morning ritual where I go in and I make a homemade tea in the quiet of my home. I don't talk to anyone. I go and I do this process. I warm the milk, I warm the black tea, I warm the cardamom seeds, I put in the ginger, I put in the fresh turmeric. It's a ritual. And I repeat it. And while the tea is boiling, I turn on the light, I set up the section in my reading corner. That's the same place I read every day. Now, that's just a regular part of my living room. But when I'm writing my morning pages, I clear it of all debris, put my plant on the table, light a candle, make my tea, bring my journal, bring my book of poetry, press my playlist that I listen to every morning, which is usually what I call desert music. So it has some Indian music from the desert. It has stuff that's not from the everyday of my life, so it'll put me in my head, it'll free me up. I have rain sounds. It's a playlist that I play every morning. Sit down. I've done the ritual. I haven't talked to anybody. I haven't checked email. I haven't done anything. And even if I only have 10 minutes, I do it this way every morning or every night. I find the 10 minutes. I steal them. And here's where you're going to get that 10 minutes from. If you don't check your email, your text messages, or your social media, you now have 10 minutes to write. So put your phone, your laptop, turn all that shit off when you go to bed. And you don't get to turn that back on the next morning until you've done your morning ritual. That gives you a good 30 minutes. Promise. Never check your email and social media first. Do your pages first. Never fails, right? And in learning how to do the morning ritual, what that triggers is after you've done it for about 4 or 5 mornings, you go back and you look at the morning pages. What are the recurring themes that come up? What do you repeat over and over again? I'm afraid of being an artist. I'm afraid of being an artist. Oh, I feel like I'm not good enough. That's why I don't book things. Oh, I feel like I'm tired of working for free. Oh, I feel like I wish I could write my story, but I feel stuck. What continually comes up for you? Right?
April, are you asking yourself because I feel like my morning pages for the last, whenever I write for a consistent amount of time, and then I don't, and then I come back, and I feel like the last 3 times I've done morning pages, they're all about either how tired I am or what am I going to write about today, or like what is today going to be, like, you know what I mean, like it's all.
So okay, that's great, because the morning pages are emptying. Okay, the morning pages are about dumping out so you can make space for new things to show up.
Yeah,
that's why it's about staying on the page until something comes up. So if you are writing and you can't think of anything to write, you're right, I can't think of anything to write, I'm so tired, I can't think of anything to write, I'm so tired, I can't think of anything to write, I'm so tired, until something else comes up, and you allow it to come up. That's what makes it a meditation. You're not controlling what comes up. You know, when you sit down to meditate, people are like, oh, they're like, free your mind and empty it of all junk. Yeah, well, how am I gonna do that shit? It's full of the junk. Which is why before I meditate, I use the morning pages to dump out the junk. That's all you're doing. You're learning how to clear the space.
Okay.
Right? Then after you have many, 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 many pages of it, it's 21 pages if you do 3 pages every morning. At the end of a week, go back and circle the words that keep coming up. Just circle them. Just circle them. And you can put all those words in a jar and pick one out each day. Or you can make a list of those things. These are the list, and then put those things. So if tired is what keeps coming up, tired has its own list, emotions. So you make, that's an emotion. If fear comes coming up, you can put fear emotion in another pile. if your current job keeps coming up, or your taxes keep coming up, or your mom keeps coming up. Just put that one word in a jar on a slip of paper and leave it. Then you figure out a weekend where you can make time to record. And you take those pieces of paper and you just start talking into a recorder. And what I have found about connective listening, what triggers someone to speak is if you ask the question, when was the first time you ever felt that feeling? Not the feeling, the event. What happened the first time you felt that feeling? And in that recorder, tell me the story of that first time in the recorder. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to, you can figure it out and remember it as you go along. The recording is just like the morning pages. You stay on the recording until something comes up for you. And you keep talking, and you keep talking. This is your first rough draft, right? You have to write 500 pages to get 100 good pages. Your recording is the beginning of those 500. Well, the morning page is the beginning of the 500 pages, right? You're moving into the second stage of that and getting your next 250 pages by doing the recordings. And you do it without editing. I wouldn't even transcribe it until I had a good 100 pages. You do it without editing. Okay? So you now have morning pages. From those morning pages, you have created lists of things that came out of the morning pages. I usually like to divide those lists up into, I usually like to divide those lists up into categories. 100 things that I love, 100 things that I fear, 100 things that make me proud, 100 things that make me sad, 100 things that make me fall in love. You can put them in categories or not. But if you're pulling them from your morning pages, they are going to be individual words which create lists that you just put in a jar, and you will pull a piece of paper from that list and you will talk. Because the things that keep coming up for you emotionally are where the stories live. Those are your recurring emotional chords. Those are the things that worry you, that concern you. Those are the life lessons that you're trying to work through. Those are the fatal flaws in you, the broken places that want to be healed. That's all Dreaming Out Loud is about. Where are the places in me that wants to be healed? And storytelling is the greatest healer. Writing is the greatest healer. That's why the medium of film and storytelling is so powerful. It gives people a place to heal, to see where others have failed, fallen down, gotten up, and lived to tell the tale. That's it. And then you start asking the questions, which is what we will do at the Writers Retreat. There are 4 major life questions that I ask you that you can only answer after you've done the first 2 steps. And when you answer those 4 questions, that will be the seed of the first story you're going to actually write. Now, you've probably already written it in the morning pages, like I discussed in one of my emails. I had already written Good Bread Alley in my morning pages over 3 years. So that by the time I sat down to answer the questions as the characters, I was like, oh, I could just pull that scene I wrote about in pages 40 through 60 last year. It's already in you because you've been writing it every day. So when I sat down to write the first draft, I did it in a weekend because I've been writing it every day for 2 years. For 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. When it got down to the 3 weeks of the Writers Retreat, I turned off social media altogether.
Yeah, I mean, people do it, I guess, but
Stephen King writes every day for 6 hours. He just sits. And that's because he has books now, right? When he figured it out, if you read his biography on writing, he did it after work. He did it on his lunch break.
Yeah.
But he just sat there until something came up, and he didn't do anything else. He didn't answer phones. He didn't talk to people. I can't write a novel every day. I do morning pages every day. When I'm going to write a script, I then apply for a residency and go someplace, and all I do for that weekend or those 4 days is write. I write in chunks like that. But I write the morning pages every day, so the chunks become really productive because I've been writing a little every day. That's the process that we're going to look at during the retreat. I just want to pull up this page again and make sure I stay on task. Okay. So you guys can see my screen, yes?
No.
No.
No, that's bad. You should be able to see my screen. I guess I have to share my screen with you, huh?
No.
That might help. Okay, great.
There
So,
we go.
so that's what we're going to be looking at. How we work through them. So the process is morning pages, look for the recurring chords, make the lists out of those recurring chords. Then record stories from those chords. When you record the stories, the characters will start to come up for you. So say one of the things tiredness, I'm really tired. That's one of the things that came up, like recurring emotional chord. Angela, I'm really tired. All right, then you're gonna pick up the recorder and talk about what it is to be tired. And when was the first time you felt tired in this way? And you're gonna tell me a story. When was the first time you booked a job and you didn't know what was coming up next and it was your first TV job? Tell me that story. You've recorded that. Now tell me that same story from somebody else's point of view. That's where character and dialogue comes from. Because authentic dialogue is just spoken from a character's strong emotional points of view. That's what creates great dialogue. And everybody is always speaking from their recurring emotional chords. Always. That's what makes good. So you speak characters aloud, telling the same story. Call it the Rashomon technique. They use it in film where the same story gets told by different characters' points of view. When you as a writer, I do it into a recording. I pick a story that's come out of my morning pages, I tell it from my point of view in the recorder, and then I tell it from somebody else's point of view who's involved in the story. And then, if you like, you can listen to the recording, or when you have that scene transcribed, go back and read the transcription. That's how you connectively listen to your characters. You record what they say and then transcribe that verbatim. Because in people's speech patterns is their authentic point of view. That's their authentic writer's voice. Your speaking voice is your writer's voice. It's the same. So this all solves the problem of how do I find my story? I don't know where to start. You start with the morning pages. Mm-hmm. You start by allowing yourself the freedom to be where you are, to know what you have is enough, and not having to get it right. That's what the morning pages does. And you commit to that ritual every day. In the Writers Retreat coming up at the end of February, I'm going to have people do this process the week before so that they have 7 days of writing and 7 days of making lists. And hopefully some transcribing of stories. We will bring those transcriptions, we'll work on them during class, so that we get you a good 25 pages to work on. And from that 25 pages, I will give you a script outline, and you will plug in the parts of your story into that outline. You will realize that you already have the makings of a script in those transcriptions. You just need to give yourself the freedom to tell the story first. Then we'll plug it into an outline, into a story, a beginning, an inciting incident, the first climactic problem, the second problem, the third problem, all 6 problems that lead to the break in the middle of the first act, right? The point of no return, the climax, and the resolution. That's all in stories that you have been recording. You don't worry about structure when you're recording. You tell the story, write it down, and then you put it into a structure. And I provide the template and the framework. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And the last part that I'll talk about, which is in some of the free classes that come with the retreat, is I got this question from Kareem. How do I write a pilot that I star in, which is picked up, goes to series on a fancy cable network or Netflix, Amazon, like Lena Waithe, who has 2 shows now she's written, one with Emmy. Issa Rae's Insecure, Justin Simeon's Dear White People. This is not rocket science. All they did was write about their lives. Did everybody see Master of None, that episode when Lena Waithe came out? Mm-hmm. That episode was genius. That episode, and then the episode about New York stories.
That was
That New York
so good.
episode is the best writing I've seen on television.
I agree.
In at least 5 years. Why?
You had to put your damn phone down.
Yeah. She just listened to people. That's all she did. She listened to her mother and her aunts tell the story of how she came out. The New York stories, she just listened to the people who were around her when she was experiencing or observing these stories. That's why they feel true. That's why they feel real. It's just a retelling of what happened, but from that character's point of view. She may have seen the two African guys going to looking for a good night out, right? She may have seen them, but what she didn't do was imagine that same story from their point of view. So I'm sure that's what she recorded and wrote, and that's how we got that scene. It's now not from her point of view, it's from each of those characters' point of views. That's what makes those scenes so compelling. Or the deaf couple, which made me holler. Because people are real people. Just because they're deaf don't mean they're not horny and don't have fights with their significant others. This great, great writing. It came from this truthful place of the story that needs to be told and just allowing your characters to talk by truly listening to them and letting them tell the story from their points of view. It's really simple when you break it down to these basic steps. And we'll finish the weekend with what I call Operation Slate, branding and marketing. How you put together the script, how you put together your marketing package based on what the script is about, and then how you raise money to make it happen. And you raise money by having a brand and building audience. It's all one and the same. But first you got to figure out what the story is of you. And that's what the Dreaming Out Loud is about. What is the story of you? The story of you is unique and unlike anybody else's. Because you have a set of life lessons that you figured out in a way that is uniquely your way of figuring them out and solving problems. And that's what you bring to the table as an artist, as a storyteller. Right? I will provide the structure. I will teach you structure in 8 hours or less. It ain't hard. I got a handbook. But we don't worry about structure until we have a story. Because every story is going to take on its own structure. Okay? So, that's what I'm going to do in the retreat. And I'm going to play a little bit about folks that have struggled with some of this stuff, who took my retreat about how to get a screenplay written and produced. And I'll let you listen to a little bit about what they say.
I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about the past. What's it been, 16 hours of intense writing and asking myself the hard questions. And April has just really transformed, I think, my ability to work independently as an artist entrepreneur. I'm ready to go back to my scripts. I know what I'm looking for in my own work so that I can self-evaluate. And now I'm just ready to hit the ground running, and I'm really excited.
Hi, what's your name?
Milsa Reyna.
And so, how was the writer's retreat for you?
It was wonderful. This is actually my second writer's retreat with April. The first one, I was much more timid and didn't know what I was doing. The second one, I definitely came with a purpose.
And what was one of the more concrete things you feel like you could take home today?
Build your audience and get to know them.
To what end?
To every end. So just know what they read, what they consume in entertainment. Find them, go to the venues, meet them, interact with them, give them free things. Always a constant engagement of the audience.
Thank you, Milsa.
I'm just going to say one thing. That writing retreat was awesome.
Okay, you guys can go back and watch the rest of those at your leisure. But I had so much fun, and it was 16 hours. We did it at a house, and we were really freaking tired, but people were pumped and got a lot of writing done. And I wanted to show you Liz and Nilsa first, because Liz and Nilsa have produced their shows off Broadway out of those 2 retreats. Their shows are done. Not talking about it. Done. Done, 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 done. Okay? And as you go through this slideshow, you will see Juan Francisco Villa. Okay, this woman has lost her mind. Michelle Hartley has now written 2 films, 2 solo shows after the writer's retreat and the emotional chords exercise. Jillian is on her 4th play in an MFA writing program at Columbia. Done. She then had several workshops of her plays. Fajardo has finished his script that he started in the workshop. The reason I'm sharing these stories with you is because some people write just to be like, let's be a part of the process and let's just explore. Fuck it, explore. You're going to be a storyteller. You can't be a storyteller if you don't finish a damn story. That's just really what I believe. So I don't believe in teaching writing to collect your money. I believe in teaching writing. David's show got produced off Broadway in the Kirk, the United Solo Festival. I believe that you finish your damn script, right? I believe in giving artists the tools, not to just talk about writing, not to just think about writing, but concrete tools to finish. Ron has now written a web series, 2 plays. He's getting ready to produce a TV show. Like, it's done. I believe in giving you the tool to run with what I've taught you and finish it. I believe in creating an environment where it's easy to get that done, because I allow people to have payment plans. You ain't got to give me $500 up front. You can give me $200 here and then $200 there until it's finished. What's important is that you start writing. And I send out the free stuff to give you all the tools if you can do it on your own. If you can't do it on your own, then I have the retreat where I can give you a structure and push you for 16 hours and you can finish it, right? Or you can at least get the bones laid out, which is what would happen in a 16-hour retreat. So money, don't worry about it. Start writing. All you have to do is come up with an installment payment and then work on the rest of the payments. If you can't do the installment payment, email me and tell me why. We'll figure out something else. The point is to get you writing and finishing, because I'm tired of the stories that are currently in the world. They're lame and they're working my fucking nerves. So it's my personal mission to give artists who actually have a story that I want to hear a place and a structure in which to get it done. I'm about finishing your story, producing it, and getting paid well to do so. Not waiting for somebody else to give you 2 cents to workshop your shit for 2 years. I don't believe in that. I believe that you are the CEO of your career, and I'm giving you the tools to get that done. So, in addition to the retreat, which is February 24th to 25th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., there will be a live 2-day writer's retreat. You can come sit in my house and do the morning ritual and have some golden turmeric tea, or you can do it online, just like we're doing the Zoom. And if you can't do the live retreat, you can buy the recorded 2 days writing retreat. And you get all of the classes with it. Now these classes, these 90-minute webinars that I've created, you will get them after the retreat. They are 90-minute recorded classes that will help you build on what you learned in the retreat and guide you through the process. So how to use the outline to learn solid narrative structure. I'll go step by step through the outline to teach you how to plug in the elements that are already in your story. The next class is about the inciting incident. What is the incident that starts your story? What triggers your story? Is it 911? Is it the towers falling? Is it your brother came out to everybody over Thanksgiving dinner? What is the inciting incident, and how do you use that to catapult your story? It also helps you with what the fuck should you write about and the emotional chords, right? The 5 major ingredients for a magical story. I kept getting this question in the writing. The magic is when you write from your emotional chords, truthfully and deeply. So you spend time exploring those chords and finding out the magic of your story through those chords. It's in the discoveries that you've made in your recurring emotional chords. That's where the magic lives. Then my favorite class, which is a direct result of Julia writing me in her survey, what the fuck do I write about? I love it. Start writing.
Glad to help.
It's a 90-minute class, and I will give you like some 10 kick your ass tips that you can do right there in the moment to get you out of your head and get you on the page, right? And then the 5th class is how to build a character in 90 minutes or less. And that's where we use the connective listening technique. And it's a focus just on connective listening. Okay? And you leave with all these handbooks. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. I'm excited. So, option 1 is a live online class. You get it today, save $100. It is $6.99. And you can pay for it in payments every 2 weeks, $174. Every 3 months, $233. Is that right? I think that should be every 3 weeks. Oops. Every 4 weeks, $349. Right? I'll make that change today. It's regularly priced $7.99. So for this deal, it's $100 off. Or you can get the recorded, which is $4.99. Cheap, cheap, cheap. Pay it at your leisure. Take your time. $124 is the lowest payment. Do that today. It's yours. The live writers retreat is half full. There are only 4 spaces left. I work with a small group, no more than 12 people. So you got 4 spaces, people. Make it happen for yourself. Do it, go, get the bonuses. This class will never be this cheap again. And these 90-minute webinars are $99 classes, each one. They'll never be free again. So, snooze, you lose. That's all I got, people. I tried to break down this process to make it as simple as possible. Clear? Was it clear for you guys?
Mm-hmm.
How you work point by point? Can you go back through the emails that I sent you? And I'll send you some more stuff. And the videos that flesh this out. That's basically, we will take our time for 2 days figuring this who out. I also do a private coaching group, but that's for writers that have taken the retreat. So we can talk about that later, because that's a lot of work. Angela started that, the mastermind group. It's a lot of work, huh, Angela?
Yeah.
It's like 2 to 4 writers in a room for 10 weeks. And I'll be like this. But Angela went from writing a short film to a feature.
Yeah.
And then she looked at me and she hated me, but it's going to be a really good feature. I was like, what's this? It's not a short film, because maybe you could, Angela's like, no, it's a short. I was like, it's short. Yeah, you can do it, but what you're struggling with is it's a big story to try and put in 15 minutes. It's short! It's not short. It's not short. It's not short. The little voice was like, it's not short? I was like, I mean, you could make it. Same amount of work making a feature, but you can make it a short. If you want to be on the screen for 15 minutes, can't nobody give you an award for that. But you do, you know. And she was like, check out a feature. I was like, yeah. Oh, where I can play all of me? Because who knows you better than you? So she went from writing a 15-minute film to a feature so she could get her Oscar. Okay, and then in between getting her Oscar, she would go back and be a drug dealer for John Singleton on Snowfall. And have lesbianic tendencies. What I like is that she could be fierce. She could have on high heels and Chaka Khan hair and Chaka Khan clothes and have a girlfriend and a boyfriend and a full-time job. You see, that is that's gifted. She's gifted. She's gifted. I was like, she going to work full Chaka Khan hair. Getting the afro out big like that every day is work. Okay? People be like, oh no, I'm just gonna do my perm. A perm, you just got to wrap. Her character come out full Chaka Khan every day. Every day. Gun in purse. Outfits coordinated. Okay? Okay? You have special slippers for being outside. Okay. Now that is a character. And John Singleton is a genius for writing that character. You learn things about yourself that you never knew. Shaka Khan with a gun in the handbag and a boyfriend and a girlfriend. Love that. Great story. Now you're going to write a movie in which you expand upon all the beautiful things. Shaka Khan, if she was a corporate mogul. Okay. With a boyfriend and a girlfriend. What kind of skill do you have as a writer and as a human being to walk out the door looking fabulous and have a boyfriend and girlfriend? And I mean, those things take time.
And energy.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Once they got staff. If she only got a husband and some kids, she got staff. Shaka Khan don't have all that staff. Husband, girlfriend, career. Any questions, ladies?
Yeah.
I know you did. What's your question, Missy Doo?
Go back to, okay, so I've written my morning pages. I picked out those words that recur. I put them on the slip of paper in the jars, and at the end of the month, I pick a slip, and then I record it. And then you said something about after, don't transcribe them until you have 100 pages. Or what did you say?
I would say you've been doing the morning pages for a long time. Get 25, 50 pages of the morning pages before you start making lists. 15 and 25. I mean, when I made my list, I had been writing the morning pages for 3 years, going, fuck this, like that, fuck shit, fuck. And it was actually my therapist that was like, so what's going on for you in those pages? I was like, that's what stuff about? It's just like, you make discoveries in the journal.
Is that what you're doing it for?
I was like, for real? I thought I was just cussing motherfuckers out. She's like, well, that's a discovery. There are things that you're not saying that you need to say. My therapist doesn't curse. I was like, yeah, I was like, motherfucker. It's like motherfucker every page. She was like, so what follows after that? I was like, oh, after motherfucker? She was like, yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
somebody treating me as if I'm less than what I believe myself to be. And she went, when was the last time that happened? I was like, I don't know. She's like, you might want to think about writing about that tomorrow. I was like, just give me a writing assignment. I was saying you'd be my therapist, not to give me writing assignments. She's like, oh, you can talk about it. I was like, no, I'll just write it down. Like, we're going to talk about that. She's like, you don't want to talk about it? I was like, no, then I get all like teary and vulnerable and whatnot. She said, oh, we don't want that. I was like, you know what? And she said, no. I was like, I'll write it down. And so I started writing down what I didn't really want to talk about. And she was like, so how did that go? Do you want to talk about that? I was like, no. And one time I had an assignment I had to talk about shame and something that made me feel shameful. I had a whole story about it. Like it was an epic, it was The Color Purple of my life. It was a 3-hour epic.
Yeah.
And she's like, I knew she was going to want to talk about it. And I was like, I will talk about it. Okay. That's a lot. All right. And I know she's going to be like, okay, I'm listening. Which means she's going to sit there until I say what I need to say. So I got her ass. You know what I did? I wrote that shit down. 22 pages. Then I printed that shit out and I mailed it to her with a post-it that said, I would like to discuss this at our next session. Bam! I thought I was being genius, right? This bitch was giving me the rate. I was like, yeah, I just was working it out in my morning paper. And then I recorded it and then I transcribed it. And I didn't realize it was like 25 pages, but then I printed it out and then I mailed it to you saying, to be discussed. And when I came in, I was like, did you get my letter? She's like, I did. And when I'm being really ridiculous, Dr. Owen smiles. Mm-hmm. Because she's going to let me be ridiculous. I need this journey for myself. Like, whatever. And she said, so tell me about that section right there. I was like, it's in the pages. I knew what you wrote, but why? And I was like, because that motherfucker did such and such and such and such. All I did was retell her it was in the story. But it was like the telling of it that I needed to do. And she's like, huh, that's a really interesting story. Oh, I should write a play about that. She didn't say, you might want to write a play. She just went, that is compelling. I made that discovery. And that's what I do with my clients. What's the story? Because if you tell the story, you'll figure out what the lesson is yourself. That's all good therapy is. Getting you to channel your own intuitive wisdom. You just haven't learned to listen to it. You are the most important character. All the characters come through you. All of them. They flow through you. The voices, the stories, the lessons, the aha moments. You just let it fall out of your mouth and put it in order later. Why do you think people hire ghostwriters? All people do is sit there and get interviewed by their ghostwriter, and then the ghostwriter goes, oh, I was listening. Here, let me put it in a format. And you pay them a lot of money to do some shit that I could teach you how to do in a weekend. I was like, it really is plug and paste. Once you have the pages, you're like, okay, so where's the problem? What's the first event? Okay, plug that section, pages 1 through 4. Just plug that in there. Okay. What's the second event? Oh, okay, plug. It's cut and paste. It's thinking about what it's supposed to be that causes writer's block. It's thinking about, oh, what should I think of? That stops you from getting a story. Just talk. Just talk. That's it. That's it. So when you got 25 pages, just start talking to that recorder. Tell me a story about what's on that slip of paper. Because there's a story behind it. What are you doing that's making you tired? It's a particular kind of tired because you wouldn't be writing tired all the time. If it wasn't a particular kind of tired, there's something about that quality. It's, being in charge of your career and being a movie star. I'm sorry. A television star is overwhelming and I'm scared, but it's great. Oh, okay. Oh, what's behind that? Oh, I'm so tired. What if I never work again? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work extra on this job. Okay, I'm going to learn my lines, everybody else's lines, and all the other scenes. And then I'm going to come so prepared because I need to get a job after this. What's driving that tired? It's a different kind of tired. You've been tired doing plays. What is the trigger that makes this character of Angela tired? There's a particular trigger. Because you do lots of things that make you tired. You run around LA and go to fucking auditions. I did that for 2 weeks. I wanted to kill myself. I was like, oh my God. Just driving to the audition, finding parking, getting out, doing the audition with all the frou-frou people who are like, hey, in the lot. I was like to kill myself. Okay, let me change my outfit. Let me get back in the car. Let me sit in traffic and drive to another audition. Oh my God. 2 auditions, 9.5 hours later. Never mind the 2 auditions are like a 20-minute drive from each other. It was a 10-hour day. I wanted for myself. I was like, who does this? Who does every day? I think I'm gonna die. No. I'm doing a solo show every day that I have to drive to. No. I was like, that's exhausting. What is it about actually being a series regular on a primetime TV show? It's the thing you have dreamed about all your life since you was a widow girl. You do it. And now you're tired? Why are you tired? Something about that tired. Something about, we all like, I'm trying to blow up and be a movie star. Okay, you are one now. Now what? That's how people commit suicide and be high. do drugs when they're at the top of their stardom. There's something behind that. There's pressure that you're putting on yourself. It's driven by fear. And once you learn the lesson behind that, you will have solved a whole bunch of problems. And then you can write 13 feature scripts, and then you can star in them at high level to go do all the takes so you don't get tired and you just come out of your trailer for rehearsal and then you'll see what you do in one take. If you smart. That's how I did a solo show. I was like, I'm not gonna be up here being tired. I can't be doing this over and over again. We need to stand in to run lines so y'all can light her. I'm gonna lay down. And they were like, bitch, you're in the theater. It's a solo show. How do you have a stand-in? I was like, because I'm me. And I also deserve a car to and from the theater because I'm be talking for 3 hours every day. Press bucket releases. I do press all during the day, and then I go do the show at night. What? No. I need a stand-in, and you're gonna have a stand-in too. When you figure out what makes you tired, right? For me, what makes me tired is the process of trying to get it right. Because for my money, I've done all the emotional work privately. I actually don't do my work in rehearsal. I do my work in my morning pages at home. And then I have a performance that I do it at home that's private, that I don't share with people. And I have a warm-up before my performances. And I ask if they always give me space. And that's an hour warm-up. That's where I do my work. I don't do my work in rehearsal. Other people are like, I'm going through the process. I was like, I didn't process. It's done. Behavior created. Arc done. Done. I learned that from director Surrett Scott, who was like, you know how to do this. Just plot it out. And then I plotted out, and then I come and I was like, oh, so page 48, I was supposed to figure out what I was trying to learn on page 13, and then I create this behavior. And she was like, she looked at me, she said, girl, get out my face. Because that's what she'd been telling me from day one. And the director already knew where we needed to go. My ass is like, she's like, maybe some of that could come out in the rehearsal room. I was like, yeah. I was like, it will be in the performance. He's like, well, what about the other people in scene? They might need something from you. I was like, the Gravatt told me, this rehearsal here, this is all fine. Y'all laying off booking shit, that's fine. But when the lights come up, baby, it's on. Whether you there or not. And she strolled right on the stage and leave motherfuckers behind her. They're like, leave you there. Do you hear me? And start the show when the lights come up. And your ass be running too much. She's like, I told you. When the lights come up, it's on. Because my work has been done. That way you won't be tired. When you have your Oscar for your movies that you've written, and you're getting your Oscar money as an actor, your Oscar money as a producer, your Oscar money as the writer, that's 3 checks. Your kid's going to school now for the next 99 years, and tuition is already raised. Thanks. Fear of success. Fear that you might be as good as you are. There's lots to write up. Fear that you might be a genius. Fear that the people you look up to you think are geniuses are really not more talented than you are. I was thinking that. I was reading your Instagram. I was like, you don't even know. I'm a hateful teacher. I was like, bitch, you more talented than that motherfucker. I was like, comments. I was like, you're so talented. I was like, bitch can't. Okay. Any more questions? Y'all ready? Angela's already taking the retreat. Julia?
I will talk to you.
Okay.
We'll figure this out.
Okay, come talk to me.
Okay.
Okay. There's a bunch of people waiting for this recording who've been emailing me out the box. So I'm going to stop now, transcribe it, and load it to the page. All right, kids.
Thank you.
Peace, love, and happiness.
Bye.
Stay strong. Stay girl.